Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about part 2 of our Girl Defined series. But before we jump in, please gently and respectfully tap the like button, click the notification bell, and also subscribe to this channel for more videos. Alright, let's get into it. We've already covered a lot in our first video about Girl Defined, so I'm just going to jump right in. If you haven't seen the first video yet, go watch it, you goofball. 2 comes after 1. Then come back here for more. If you've already seen it, great job. Just as I did in the first Girl Defined video, I want to give some quick disclaimers that this is not a video meant to be hateful or discriminatory. We had a lot of really awesome comments on the first video, which I greatly appreciate. You guys are the best and so kind. I want to clarify before getting into this video, you don't have to agree with what I have to say, but I at least want you to receive the correct message. Specifically, Girl Defined is dangerous. Last video I mentioned a few times that religion, including Christianity, is a great thing for many people. It's not for everyone, but it definitely is for some people who find it to be a helpful, guiding light and a source of love, community, and strength. It's not wrong to live by code and to hold yourself accountable, and religion is a great way for many people to do that. Also, I hear you about the video clips. I don't have them as fast in this video. I can understand it, but I know not everyone can, like when Trisha talks. Also, if you don't know about this feature, if a clip is still too fast, go to the little setting icon in the menu bar and you should be able to very easily slow down that clip. Thanks for all the feedback. Anyway, let's get on with it. We are going to start with some of their blog posts for a quick review of exactly who these people are. I'm just going to quote a few sentences that I feel sum up the main ideas behind each article. This one article is called Gay Pride Movement Sneaky Agenda. The word gay itself is a perfect example of our culture trying to redefine things. By adopting the friendly term gay, we naturally downplay and minimize the depravity of that lifestyle. Then Kristen quotes John MacArthur saying, "It's ridiculous to assume that because they do a specific sexual act or acts, they therefore demand certain rights and should be granted those rights." How does someone prove that they are gay? It's not something that can be tested genetically. It's not something that a person is born with. No evidence has ever proved that. Okay, now show me the evidence that it isn't something a person was born with. It's not even a physical attribute. If they can get the American people to believe they are a special people group or race, then they can play the victim whenever they're not accepted, responding to the homosexual movement. This might come as a shock to some Christians, but the Bible does not support, value, uphold, or accept the homosexual lifestyle in any way. God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve, for a reason. God designed sex to be a holy and pure act that should only take place between a husband and a wife. As John MacArthur so frankly stated, homosexuality is nothing more than a perverse sex act. The saddest part about the whole gay pride movement is just that they are gay and proud of it. They are sinning against God and flaunting it in his face. We cannot be silent. If we as a church are silent, we might be legally silenced forever. Please don't get sucked into the gay pride agenda. Don't base your beliefs on your emotions. God's word must be the final authority for everything you believe. Keeping marriage straight. Why the Bible never recognizes gay marriage. True marriage as defined by God can't exist between the same gender because it fails to meet God's criteria. Since God is love, he must love everything. This is a lie from and couldn't be further from the truth. When boys play princess and girls play soldier. In response to Taylor Swift's music video that won Video of the Year, she stated, "I'm just happy that we live in a world where boys can play princesses and girls can play soldiers." So what was Taylor saying? Simply this: gender doesn't matter. Since God is the author and designer of you, me, and Taylor Swift, guess what? He is the one who makes the rules. Man, Taylor Swift's in trouble. Thinking clearly in the most dysfunctional genderation ever. If a woman wants to marry a cat, why can't she?
If a man wants to marry 6 other men at the same time, why can't he? If a 50-year-old man wants to marry a 7-year-old girl, why can't he? If a man wants to change his gender to be a female, that's accepted, right? But what if he wants to get surgery to take on the form of a gorilla? If a person despises being male or female and invents a new gender. What if a 60-year-old woman decides she's actually a 10-year-old little boy in her personal reality? Can she be true to herself? Would surgery be okay?
The saddest thing about our genderation isn't that we've redefined gender, it's that we've redefined God. Alright, Kristen, calm down. I think you're freaking going too far with this one. How to show love towards prostitutes, homosexuals, and Muslims. I'll be totally honest with you. In the past, and still at times, I've struggled to view lost people with compassion and love. When I hear the words homosexual, prostitute, or even the word Muslim, I cringe inside. Girl, what? Freeze Your Eggs, the New Trend for Women, by Kristen Clark. Instead of being bound by their God-designed biological clock, women can delay having children until their 40s. Gross, not their 40s. The basic idea is that you freeze your strong eggs when you're in your 20s and then use them when you're in your 40s. Hey, that's a good idea. As I continued reading the article, the overarching message I heard was this: children are a burden. A career is more valuable than being a mom, and being independent from the family is where women find true empowerment. I haven't read the article, but I'm guessing maybe you should work on your reading comprehension, because I doubt that's what it's trying to say. Now, I'm not opposed to new technology and medical advancement, but I'm opposed to a worldview and mindset that is contrary to God's word. There's a reason that God designed us with a biological clock. Okay, but if we really went by God's biological clock, more kids would be born out of wedlock to unfit mothers because a woman's peak reproductive years are between the late teens and late 20s. Ponder that and how your sister got married at age 30 and didn't have a kid till age 32. Okay, thanks. Children should be viewed as a precious investment, and for Christians, a soldier in training for the kingdom of God. Women can break free from their enslaving biological clock, their careers and independence can finally take the front row. Yippee, changing with the times. Man, you're exhausting, Kristen. It's amazing how you could have so little perspective. We're going to move more quickly through the rest of these. Instead of quotes, I'll just simply give quick summaries. This one's called, Can the Bible Help with Depression, Eating Disorders, and Porn Addictions? A basic summary is that mental illness isn't real. You're just a sinner, silly. The Bible can fix you. Next one's called Christian Girl. You don't need to love yourself more to find lasting worth. Self-affirmations are pointless because we're not good enough and never will be because only God can be enough. Is basically what she's saying. We don't need more self-love, we need more God love. Next one's by Kristen called Self-Esteem, Why Christian Girls Don't Need It. What we all need is less self-esteem and more Christ-esteem. I can't do any more of this. Let's just look at a few funny titles to giggle and refresh and then move on from the blog. Miley Cyrus, you really can't have the best of both worlds. Are shirtless guys okay to look at? Why sending nude photos isn't God's best for single women. Christian Girl's Guide to Becoming an Influencer on Social Media, How Not to Have an Abortion Someday. Oh, actually, I might read that one later. Mind Virgin, Saving More Than Just Your Body. There are a few blog posts talking about how porn and erotica are so horrible and that lust is awful and that you not only physically need to be a virgin when you get married, but also mentally, so better not have any dirty thoughts. And yet, the Songs of Solomon are so sexual that they're sometimes kept from kids until they're older than 12. That ish is juicy. Another curious thing is the Girl Defined budget. Girl Defined has a Patreon and tried to get all their funding there so they can have ad-free videos, which is nice, I guess. They have some interesting goodies for their patrons.
Actually, it's a patron freebie. Battling Sexual Temptation, a biblical toolkit for Christian girls, is because I know that I wasn't the only one struggling. The Christian Girls Breakup Survival Guide, Fighting Fear and Worry. I know I needed that a lot this year, especially 5 strategies for thriving as a single girl. Shout out to all my single ladies. 50 questions to deepen your friendships. Y'all, these are legit questions. I've been using these in my friendships and they've been amazing. True Hope in Jesus. Or how about this? 31 Days in Proverbs Devotional, an entire Proverbs 31 devotional. That's just one of the freebies. One of the free products this month is Battling Sexual Temptation, a biblical toolkit for Christian girls.
They also have a handful of books that they've written. They sell tickets for their webinars and conferences. They have done Instagram promotions. Bethany resells thrift finds. I think they have several other side gigs that they've mentioned, which is so quirky and radical since they're married mothers and aren't supposed to work. They are very down on mothers who put their kids in daycares or hire nannies, as if everyone has other options because the woman's place is in the home. The man is the provider, but if the husband is the provider, why does Girl Defined come to their friends at the end of every freaking year asking for money? All the following information is courtesy of a Reddit post in the subreddit Bundy Snark Uncensored. I'll put the link down below. It has tons of information about the wrongdoings of Girl Defined and a detailed history of their questionable behavior. I wish I could credit the author, but the profile of the person who published the post is deleted, so I can't even see the username. The Redditor has to say, as a nonprofit, they are required to file an annual 990 tax return. Here's their report for 2017 and here's the report for 2018. They haven't released the 2019 form, but when pressed, they offered a budget and expense report, not the actual amount of money that they take in. They had a net asset of about $92,000 by the end of the year 2018, but continue to ask for donations about $30,000 at the end of each year. They once asked for $20,000 when Kodiko's video on them went viral. In December 2019, they claimed that they needed clearly $15,000 for a new website and rebranding. Despite exceeding their year-end donation goal of $30,000, the website didn't get updated until August 2021. Also, the website is not great, definitely not worth $15,000. It went live with one section still including the Latin placeholder text. Someone under the username you wah 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 made a sarcastic comment that I really liked, saying, "Wait a minute, that's Latin. And everyone knows Latin belongs to the Catholics. Has Girl Defined gone to the dark side?" Euphoric Purchase 820 on Reddit did some digging and put together an interesting post about their website. They said, "So after a year and a half, they finally released the so-called rebranding website they pledged in 2019. You'd expect this site to be new and useful, but after checking it out, I just realized it's the same old crappy website brushed off with fancy menus and new pictures. They even kept the same wording, not even trying to change it a little. The only new I noticed was the donor's login and podcast tab, and that's it. Everything else is the same as before." The developer is a Christian company called 5Q, specializing in technology that fuels digital ministry impact. In one of their plans called Ministry Impact Platform, they promote a bunch of stuff like integration with best-in-class fundraising software, best practices in usability design, exceptional scores on Google Page Speed Insights and SEM Rush Site Health. For that plan, pricing starts at $2,000. I don't know much about web design or developing or what type of plan GD went with, but I remember they saying it would cost like $10,000 to $15,000 for a new site. People were speculating that Bethany used the money to cover her home birth because her insurance would only cover a hospital birth. The Redditor also said they won't even tell their followers how much money they're bringing in a year. You have to go to the IRS to find that. And note that 55.6% of their operating costs are their salaries. Even most churches have that figure under 20%. They lied to their followers. They mysteriously needed $20,000 because Cody Co made them sad and they needed that money to cover all of 2018's expenses. However, according to their 2018 tax form, they have about $92,000 in the bank after all expenses. So there was never a need for that $20,000. They are a nonprofit. They were just taking advantage of so-called persecution to manipulate their followers into giving them money. I am very aware that nonprofits do keep money in their bank for rainy days, but usually when you make a donation, you kind of get an idea of where your money is going. But with Girl Defined, it's ministry meals or supplies. You can basically count on 56 cents of every dollar going directly into their pockets. I'll have to add this to its own section along with all other scammy practices, like how Deathy literally went all the way out of state in the middle of COVID with her unvaxxed baby, mind you, just to take away the only affordable clothing from low-income communities while people are struggling financially during this economic hellhole, and then having the audacity to mark up the prices by 500% just to make a quick buck. Like, why even call yourself Christian? Also, it's not like their family doesn't have money if they really need something. Dave and Bethany talked about the Baird house being the party house in town when they were younger, and their mom would invite hundreds of guests.
Lots of parties, and we were on a caroling team, one of your parties.
Which is a massive Christmas party, and we divided into teams.
Yeah.
Caroling teams, because there's so many people, and we caroled to like 350 houses. Did you like coming to our house and our parties? Our mom was like the hostess with the mostest, and she would like invite everyone over. Like, you know, I mean, that Christmas party was literally hundreds of people. Like, that was just who our family was. And so
your house was the place to be, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, multiple different churches, people from multiple different churches would come. And it was just kind of like a center of activity.
Assumptions about Girl Defined. So people always say this, that you guys are rich. And we have told y'all so many times, we grew up like with a family with 8 kids and like a 1,200 square foot home. I lived there almost my entire life. We always shared rooms. We always drove like used cars. I drove a car that is literally as old as me for like 10 years. We are definitely not rich. We did a whole video on this. Like, our parents literally started from started from nothing.
Also, this level of privilege had to have come from somewhere. Maybe they just don't know how to budget, or I don't even know what the deal is with these money-hungry ladies.
Okay, maybe that's a bit presumptuous to say her parents would pay her bills, but she's so ignorant and privileged, and Girl Defined is constantly scamming people. Scam. 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 Suspicious. Scam. Scam. Suspicious. 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 Scam.
Why even call yourself a Christian? This is a reference to a big scandal with fellow Christian YouTuber God is Gray.
Because Bethany, Kristen, and I all identify as Christian, I wanted to offer an alternate perspective that actually embraces feminism.
God is Gray is a Christian but does believe in things like gay marriage. She supports LGBTQ+ and sex positivity.
We are all equally represented in this society, and the Bible backs us up. Romans 2:11, there is no favoritism with God. If there's no favoritism with God, there should be no favoritism within our society.
She thought it would be interesting to do a video with Girl Defined, who have such different views. Girl Defined acted interested a month prior to the 2019 conference, but then went silent. During a lecture at their conference, Bethany went on a rant about God is Gray, saying, why even call yourself a Christian?
You know, I still to this day, I don't know, like, why call yourself a Christian? Because it's like every popular issue that's trending in our culture that goes against God's word, they explain to you all the reasons why actually God's word doesn't say what it says.
This is exactly the two-faced behavior people expect. It's hypocritical and petty. I'm not sure if this really just stems from a different belief, because Girl Defined always says that we need to love and be kind even if we don't like someone's beliefs. And they say they are aware people will have different interpretations. Kristen says a lot of, at least that's how I interpret it, or, and that's just for me, not for everyone. Something tells me there may be some jealousy or competition factoring in, which is interesting because being jealous is a sin, as is gossiping about someone behind their back and holding a grudge. Watch yourself, Bethy Boo. These actions aren't very Christian, which you're aware of now. So maybe instead of repenting for sinning, work on yourself to stop those behaviors. Is that an option? Or at least don't do them in front of a huge crowd and a camera, especially when that crowd is a group of young girls looking to you for inspiration and guidance about not sinning.
Why call yourself a Christian?
At least Jesus will save them from cancellation. Now I want to focus on Bethany for a bit. She would appreciate that. Bethany Baird Beal, pro-life, anti-mask, anti-vax, supplement/health food junkie, hypocritical attention seeker, and self-proclaimed gun-loving Texan. Bethany, also referred to as Birthy, Deathy, and some other lovely nicknames, appears to be the sister receiving the most hate. Kristen spreads the most venom in her blogs, but Bethany bothers people because she always needs to be in the spotlight, even if she has to do something really stupid and selfish. She was recently overjoyed to share the story of when she went wedding dress shopping with her sister, but got herself a wedding dress even with no prospects. Dress day is not about you, Bethany.
What's up, sisterhood? I'm actually coming to you with a little bonus video today. And it's, I think, mostly exclusively for YouTube, so great for you.
Why are you even trying on wedding dresses when someone else is the bride? She also posts incessantly while Kristen posts significantly less, so my guess is that people have less to react to with Kristen. Kristen seems a little wiser when it comes to how she speaks publicly. She just posts the most stereotypical rich white girl photos, pretty harmless and great inspo for Bo Burnham. Kristen talks a lot about having a high sex drive and struggling with masturbation, and a lot of people have respect for her willingness to share her experience to make younger girls experiencing the same thing feel less alone. And there are tons of comments on her posts with appreciation from those girls, plus a few trolls, of course. Most people don't agree with her hateful messages, but they do respect her for sharing about this one. I almost said area of expertise, but that doesn't seem right for talking about, well. Kristen also was very open about her fertility struggles and ended up adopting 2 biological brothers. People appreciated that she was really open with her criteria and keeping siblings together. I'll put a Reddit post that summarizes the podcast that she and her husband made regarding the adoption process on the screen. On the other hand, Bethany just has to post every thought and have multiple accounts on all the platforms that she uses, but it's nothing really helpful or commendable. She live streamed her wedding to their YouTube channel, for crying out loud. Bethany said she doesn't believe Christians should use TikTok, yet is admittedly too obsessed with Instagram. She wrote a blog about it and posts TikTok-style videos.
Over, sideways, and under on a magic carpet ride. For the crew of the century. Animal death! We can die! To die is green! Phrase?
The conversation is over.
If you say...
Yes, I did do that, but it was an accident.
Sir?
I'm pushing for it. We're talking about TikTok. Like, the good, the bad, the ugly. Well, I was like, I don't know. Is there good? That's what I keep saying.
Ooh, don't give away your opinion too.
I've got my big pet peeve with TikTok. When you get on there, there's just this flood of information and videos and images coming at you that kind of are a huge temptation to pull you against who God says you are, what you're living for, where your identity is found. It's almost like we're working against ourselves and making this battle in life so much more difficult.
Maybe she's just turned off by TikTok since so many people made TikToks mocking them after the That's So Cringe series by Cody Ko. Bethany even came up with a song and dance that she did with her younger sisters that I'm pretty sure she thought would take off. Actually, I'm only 90% sure it's Bethany. That honestly might be Kristen.
We are the sisterhood, calling all our friends to join us. We're tired of living, but this is a revolution. This is how we light it up, it's me and my friends.
Wait, is that a third sister? Is that Rebecca? Are neither of them in this? I honestly don't even know.
This is who I am, who God created me to be.
Whatever, it's the Girl Defined anthem, and it was composed by Bethany's beau, Dave.
Wait, do I have to like something different? I like not being together. I like being together. Yeah, that's good. I also like doing other things too.
You like reading, relaxing. So yeah.
We love having fun.
Bethany is also such an easy target. I know that it's not nice of me to say, but I don't know how else to put it. Listen to this extremely dramatic passage she wrote in one of the books. When I, Bethany, was in 7th grade, I did something that shocked an entire gymnasium full of people, including myself. My siblings and I were at an open gym playing pickup games with the neighborhood crew. Beside my sisters and my mom, I was the only girl in the gym. I was minding my own business, shooting around a basketball when an obnoxious younger guy came over and started demanding that I give him the ball. I looked at this squirt and said, "No, I'm using this ball." With a shocked look on his face, he replied loudly, "That's my ball. I brought it and I want it now." I knew the ball belonged to the gym, so I told him no. I guess he wasn't used to being told no, so he went off on me. He started yelling and stomping his feet. He even threw a chair on the ground. He was causing a huge scene, and the entire gym paused to watch. Instead of giving in to this guy's tantrum, I threw the ball down the court in the opposite direction of him, smiled, then walked away. The onlookers erupted in applause. Bethany, come on, erupted in applause because a little girl had a petty reaction to a bratty little boy? How heroic, come on. She also loves going on unsafe shopping trips out of state, buying up affordable thrift items and reselling those items at an extreme markup through her Instagram shop. She's gotten a lot of flack for this, but it also sounds like the story's doing well. In addition to being anti-vax, she won't wear a mask but feels perfectly safe and proud traveling across state lines as an unvaccinated woman with an unvaccinated baby and doesn't care what you want to say. She's a health nut, well in her own way. She's the type of person who needs to eat organic and unprocessed foods, which on its own is not bad at all, but she is the type of health nut who won't get the vaccine but loves Chick-fil-A.
Whole30, keto, paleo, no soy or canola, no dairy, sugar-free. Just a really great chicken sausage, and look at all of that good stuff that's not in it.
She wants all her home textiles to be organic cotton but buys whatever cute clothes she likes. She will take tons of vitamins and all natural substances but doesn't believe in mental health or therapy. Someone asked her if she would get the vaccine and she said, "Would you?" and has supported anti-vax accounts. It's okay, her supplement medleys and organic elixirs will keep her safe and screw the other people that she's putting at risk, I guess. She showed her Sam's Club shopping haul once when she was preparing to, I forget, make a meal for her family.
Towards a meal I'm making for my family, towards a meal I make for my family, the meal I'm making for my family, meal for my family, or the meal for my family.
She said that they go through 48 eggs per week. I really hope that she meant her and her parents and siblings, etc., not just her and Dave and her baby. That is way too many eggs for 2 adults and a baby, especially when Bethany has such strong feelings about fetuses. Bethany loves social media, but it doesn't always love her back. There are several Redditors that critique her channel, as well as other Christian channels. There's r/FundySnark and r/FundySnark Uncensored. Those are the big ones. They mostly post very blunt opinions, to put it lightly, but sometimes there will be some constructive feedback. Bethany posted a few screenshots and her appalled reactions. Their sister, Alyssa, posted some too in an attempt to stand up for them. I do think that these are not productive messages and name-calling is very immature, but this one person reached out to Girl Defined sponsor Leafy to let them know who they were working with, and Leafy dropped the sponsorship. Bethany blamed the Redditor, but the company didn't cut ties for reasons that aren't legitimate. It's her actions that caused this. The Redditor just brought it to the sponsor, who was bound to figure it out at some point. I don't know how their sponsorship started in the first place, but their decision to separate is fair if the beliefs of the influencer don't line up with the company values. That's just how it goes, and it happens all the time. Something similar happened when Messiah College planned an event with Girl Defined. The school posted about the event on Instagram and received some backlash. The school's Instagram responded to a student who reached out saying, "Hello, Girl Defined reached out to us to schedule an interview. We said yes, thinking that it would be a time for students to ask about their opinions and beliefs, as well as being a project we are starting next semester on dating in Christian bubbles." Originally, this was not communicated well, and we take full responsibility for that, so we took down the original post and spoke further with Girl Defined about their intentions. We were surprised to hear that they saw our collaboration more as a time to promote their upcoming book rather than to have an honest discussion about purity culture, dating, and relationships in the Christian community. They went on to say, at the moment, we are planning to not only feature Girl Defined, but include them in our project to represent one point of view that does not represent the positions of the Pulse staff or our community. Today, after we had released our new posts, Girl Defined decided that they were not open to hearing students' opinions or answering questions apart from their book tour and canceled. They will not be appearing in any of our content right now and probably not again. Wow, they must be really insecure about their views if they're too afraid to take questions or hear opinions from students at a Christian university. Now on to some heavier topics. There was a quick controversy after Girl Defined answered a question from a girl asking about being a non-virgin from in consensual and non-consensual circumstances. They didn't even acknowledge that she said it was non-consensual, and people were very unhappy. We know from other posts and podcasts that Girl Defined doesn't believe in marital rape, so people were concerned about their views on SA. They deleted the original video and clarified that they do not condone SA and that it's terrible. Like, it's good that they made a corrective statement, but I'm not sure that people were super satisfied with the response, especially since they once called assault victims broken.
In a recent Q&A video that we posted, many of you expressed concern about the non-consensual part of her email. We are grateful for your concerns and we completely agree.
It at least seemed as though people were satisfied enough to let it go, or maybe they found something else to be mad about and got distracted. Okay, so now I just wanted to mention a quick trigger warning for abortions. So their blog has many posts regarding abortions. This one is called The Horrifying Truth About Abortion and Why It Matters by Bethany. I watched my computer screen in horror as a tray filled with bloody pieces of a freshly murdered baby parts came into view. How can this be happening? How can the average person think that abortion, killing babies, is totally acceptable? How can these people talk about pieces of bloody, mangled baby parts with zero care or emotion? The videos contain conversations with top Planned Parenthood, the largest baby murdering facility in America, executives discussing the possibility of joining forces to sell baby body parts. The videos then take you inside several Planned Parenthood clinics and show what takes place behind closed doors. We, as the viewers, are able to see freshly aborted babies and watch as the workers discuss how much money they could get out of each body part. Every piece has a price: head, legs, brain, eyeballs, arms, liver. Sweetie, honey, cookie, Boo Bear, you're wrong, and it's embarrassing and destructive. Maybe you should do your research before confidently and irresponsibly spreading harmful lies. I'll have some screenshots here that you can pause to read, but links will also be in the description. I looked at Planned Parenthood's public filings in regards to this issue, which concludes that the group who released the video you're talking about were found guilty in the court of law. I checked factcheck.org, oversight.house.gov, New York Times, CNN, and NPR, and all of them say after this video, Planned Parenthood was awarded $2 million. The video was edited out of context. Planned Parenthood is not making money off donating fetal tissue to medical science. Planned Parenthood's public filing, which you can read yourself and check all their listed sources, says, David Dalladane and others who manufactured the campaign against Planned Parenthood all broke multiple state and federal laws in their efforts to bar access to reproductive health care. The jury ruled in Planned Parenthood's favor on every one of its claims, including finding that the defendant violated the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act and engaged in fraud, trespass, breach of contract, and illegal secret recording. The jury awarded Planned Parenthood both compensatory and punitive damages totaling more than $2 million for the injuries that Dalladane and his co-conspirators caused. The trial court made clear that those behind the video campaign engaged in illegal wrongdoing, while no evidence was found of any wrongdoing by Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood has never and would never sell fetal tissue. This campaign was yet another example of people opposed to safe and legal abortions seeking to prevent patients from accessing care at Planned Parenthood's health centers, as well as drive legislation that would significantly curtail people's access to reproductive and sexual health care. It's funny because in the same article, when she talks about how girls can help, she said one thing that will help is telling the truth. Bethany points out that doctors encourage patients to have medical when the child is at risk or the mother is at risk. Bethany gives examples of how doctors try to guilt 3 expectant mothers to abort and they didn't, and their kids are still alive years later. She doesn't say they're healthy, but they're alive and beautiful. As usual, her tactic is to scare people and not provide full information. It's not my place to tell you that abortion is right or wrong, because that's not a decision for me to make, and it's not a decision for Bethany to make. It's hard not to argue my side, and this section has taken a lot of editing, but there are some things that I feel are important to say. First, she can't speak for everyone who ever had an abortion. She doesn't know the circumstances. There's no doctor smiling and laughing and shredding babies. I want to share a quick story that I read during my research about a woman who explained that she really wanted to try to just deliver her baby and do what she could to keep them alive as long as possible, but the particular condition meant that every moment that baby was alive, they would be in pain. Death was inevitable, and every moment from birth to death would be agony, and the mother felt it would be selfish to make the baby feel even a moment of pain. That mom loved her baby. She wasn't a monster. Bethany is making it sound like she's sharing all the facts, but she's not. If you don't know how to feel about abortion, please look into some scientific explanations and real testimonies. Don't listen to Bethany, who is completely biased. Also, how dare she say she knows the pain and pull the dead baby brother card. And notice how in all her stories, the moms didn't do what the doctor suggested. Doctors aren't fortune tellers or psychics. All they can do is provide their most educated guess as to what would be the safest decision, but they just give you that information. None of those women she mentioned were forced to do anything that they didn't want to do by those legitimate doctors that they were privileged to have. They were just offered as a choice. That's why people are pro-choice, not pro-kill all babies. There's no big angry doctor monster in a baby-killing cult trying to sacrifice your fetus. What is this? She shared this one message she got and used it to prove her point, but it makes no sense. It says, "You'll notice many people say late-term abortion is acceptable because labor and delivery could harm or kill the woman. What many people don't seem to understand is that a woman still labors and delivers during a late-term abortion. It is induced via medical intervention. She could just as well labor and deliver the baby alive, but they purposely kill them in utero and deliver stillborn. One method of committing such murder is by injecting the child's heart with digoxin, which essentially causes the child to go into cardiac arrest. The only way to save a woman who may be high risk for labor and delivery is a C-section, not abortion. I can't tell you how many young women have said they support abortion because delivery could kill the woman, and when I tell them a woman still delivers vaginally during a late-term abortion, they're absolutely clueless. This information is purposely not spoken about, especially to young women. If a person is in danger from pregnancy, then the doctor may suggest the pregnancy needs to end to stop the harm. Sometimes the delivery isn't the problem, but the pregnancy. This information is not spoken about on purpose, like it's hidden. What is with this insane conspiracy that there are people out there scheming to abort fetuses for fun or scheming to sell baby flesh? Like, what is wrong with you? Maybe this information isn't known because it isn't accurate. It is purposefully disturbing. If the safest thing to do was to have a C-section, that's what they would do. If an abortion is being performed, it's likely that that was the best option. It's not necessarily a happy option, but in some circumstances, there are no good options, and you have to just go with the one that is best. How can you have so little perspective that you can't even understand why this might be the only option? I'm not saying you have to agree, but as a fully grown human woman mother, you should at least be able to see another side to things. On September 20th, 2015, Kristen wrote an open letter to the women of #ShoutYourAbortion campaign. She writes, "I was tempted to write an article blasting you, explaining why I think you're wrong. But then, why would you want to read another article written by some conservative only interested in tearing you apart? Instead, I decided to stop and think. I decided to think really hard about where you might be coming from." That's really great that she took a kind approach and tried to consider another perspective. Oh wait, no, what is this? Another article about the movement posted 5 days later? Even amongst pro-choicers, abortion used to be viewed as a sad and unfortunate thing. It was viewed as an out for rape victims and women who had no other choice. Not anymore. The recent #ShoutYourAbortion campaign took this long time to debate to a shocking new level. Pro-choice women are now raising their voices and cheering for their abortions. Women everywhere are being prodded and encouraged by radical feminists to shout their abortion to the world. They are being told to celebrate, cheer, and take pride in what they've done. Many conservatives are calling this movement wicked and totally depraved, but these feminists are fiercely defending their stance. Here's a snapshot of what's being shouted. There should be no shame in having an abortion. If a woman decides that what she is going to do, she is almost certainly making the right decision. Abortion is a responsible and moral choice. You have the right to a safe abortion, and no one can take that away from you. Honestly, in my at 20 was one of the first responsible, non-self-destructive, grown-up choices I ever made. My abortion was in 2007. I didn't want kids then and still don't. I'm managing my own wellness. There's a common theme trending here. My happiness always comes first, no matter what. The entire Shout Your Abortion movement boils down to this one fact. These women, most of them, don't believe in God. Like, even her quote-unquote nice letter got called out by a fan for being preachy, condescending, and disrespectful. She also explained that these women are speaking out because people like Kristen want them to stay quiet, but they think the issue is too important not to talk about, which is like when Kristen talks about modesty, because even though most people don't agree, she thinks it's important. I had a similar thought about how Kristen speaks so openly about sexual desires and masturbation. What makes masturbation okay to talk about, but abortion is too taboo? Kristen, what is the lesson here? Play nice until they stop looking, then say what you really think and be as nasty as possible? Tell people how to feel? Lying and being deceitful? That sounds pretty sinful. Ladies, if you don't want an abortion, don't get one. If you don't want to gay marry, great, you're already married to men. If you don't want to change your gender, then I guess don't? I'm sure you have your reasons why you feel the way you do, so just do what you think is right for you and leave the rest of us alone. Alright, I know this is a really dumb thing to get stuck on, but after all the stuff that we've covered in this series, there's one thing that I can't stop thinking about. The Girl Defined blog has several posts about a very dark, sinister, and evil celebration, Halloween. I read through some of the posts and some comments, and I'm confused about something. All these people are talking about how grotesque and evil Halloween decorations are, how they can't step foot in a costume store, and how it's the devil's day for evil. Meanwhile, the symbol of Christianity and the faith of Christ is a lifeless, exsanguinating human corpse with shredded flesh hanging from the body, nailed to a cross, almost completely naked, and people, including children, wear this symbol around their necks with no problem 24/7. I mean, obviously, no hate to the symbol. Truly, I know it's a sacred image, and I understand it's an important reminder to remain faithful to God and Jesus, and I can see why, but you can't deny that it's visually and objectively pretty dark. Also, Kristen said her one experience in a haunted house was when her youth pastor took her, so how evil could it have been? I could understand finding the provocative costumes distasteful, but some plastic bones in a yard are more sinister than a child wearing a bedazzled dead man on it? Damn. Well, yeah, I mean, that concludes my Girl Defined deep dive. They lie, deceive, and bully, and they're hypocrites who spread really messed up information. There are still a few other weird things about the Baird family and plenty more questionable behaviors and a lot more problematic Christian content creators, so let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe down below. Who doesn't love buttons? I make new videos every single day, but before we end off, here's a fun silly video of Girl Defined just being relatable and goofy to close this out.
Oh, you can move your tongue really fast. Oh my gosh. Show them. Like, I'm really slow. Like, this is a really dumb thing, but you know, like, little challenges. Like, I'm not very good at, like, moving really fast. She can move things, like, really fast. Like, my tongue, it's like, here's the challenge. You have to stick your tongue out and see how fast up and down you can move it. Like, that's as fast as I can go. Now show the powerful tongue.
And here is some funny advice from a big thinker. If you never get married, it's never technically premarital sex. Heard, understood, acknowledged. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.